Good morning, everyone. So, this is the second lecture for the embryology of head and neck region. In the first class, what we did was we did the development of pharyngeal apparatus, which is responsible for development of neck and inferior part of face. And this pharyngeal apparatus consists of the pharyngeal arches, clefts, pouches, and membranes. And these pharyngeal arches are actually the U-shaped blocks of embryonic tissue uh, placed one over the other. There are total 6 pharyngeal arches, and they are numbered from cranial to caudal side: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The fifth is rudimentary, sixth is small and fuses with fourth. And then we did the structures which are developing from the pharyngeal arch. Each pharyngeal arch actually gives rise to or has association with the aortic arch artery, the muscles, the cranial nerve, the cartilaginous tissue, and ligamentous tissue. So we did the derivatives of each arch, then we did derivatives of pouches, and then the derivatives of clefts. So actually only the first cleft or the groove gives adult structure. Rest of the clefts there are no adult structure arising. So then we did applied aspect. So we'll just revise the applied once again, and then we'll move to the development of tongue, thyroid, face, palate, and nasal cavities. Let's revise. First, arch syndrome, in which because of the defective migration of neural crest cells, it will lead to Treacher-Collins syndrome or the Perry-Robin sequence. The defects are mainly associated with the non-development or the reduced development of mandible, and there are facial defects. So also called as mandibulofacial dysostosis, which is autosomal dominant disorder. There is a malar hypoplasia, that means the cheekbones are underdeveloped. Down slanting palpebral fissure, the space between the two eyelids, that is called as palpebral fissure, appears down slanting. Defect in the lower eyelid, deformed ears, middle ear and the internal ear defects are there. Middle ear ossicles are failed to form, so there is a conductive deafness. And this occurs because of the mutation of TCOF1 gene, which is responsible for producing trickle gene, which is involved in the development of bones and cartilages of the face, and helps in maintaining the population of neural crest cells by preventing apoptosis. Perry-Robin sequences usually occurs de novo, that means because of mutation, and associated with the hypoplasia of mandible, glossoptosis, the posteriorly protruding tongue is there, which prevents the palatal shelves to come close to each other for fusion. So there is a cleft palate, and defect of the eye and ear are also there, and it is rarely inherited as autosomal dominant pattern. Then, because of the defective development of third and fourth pharyngeal pouches, that can result in DiGeorge syndrome, in which the thymus and the parathyroid glands are absent and cardiac outflow defects are often present. So this will lead to congenital hypoparathyroidism. There is immune deficiency, low set ear, small philtrum, the upper lip, the central portion is smaller, and the notched ears are notched. There is a nasal cleft. Thyroid hypoplasia is also there, associated with cardiac anomalies. I have mentioned that cardiac outflow tract defects are there. So this is the DiGeorge syndrome. Let's see the development of tongue now. So for this, understand that this is the pharyngeal arches, cut portions. Okay, these are the pharyngeal arches. So the first arch, second, third, the fourth and sixth together here. The fifth is disappeared actually. So these are the cut sections. So what we are looking, this whole part is the floor of the pharynx, the primitive pharynx. So here in relation to the floor of pharynx in first arch, here this area, this is responsible for giving rise to two lateral lingual swellings. Okay, so there are two lateral lingual swellings are formed like this on both the side, and there is a midline swelling posterior to the lingual swelling. So these lingual swellings anteriorly called as the lingual swelling, the lateral lingual swelling, and then we have tuberculum impar. These swellings are arising from the first arch. So these are first arch swellings forming the part of tongue. Okay, I'll explain. Then there is part of second arch which is shown here in blue color, this sky blue color. Then this yellow part is the third arch, and then fourth and sixth arch components are here. So here what is happening, the central portion of the second, third and fourth, they together form this in the midline swelling, which is called as hypobranchial eminence or copula. Okay, so this is the hypobranchial eminence or copula formed by the second, third and fourth arch in the floor of the pharynx. Okay, then further posterior to this there is another swelling. Okay, third swelling arising from the part of the fourth arch. Okay, the part of and the entire part of the fourth arch is involved in hypobranchial eminence, whereas the posterior part of the fourth arch, this is responsible for forming the epiglottis. Okay, then this part, which is the part of sixth, is going to form the arytenoid cartilage, and the space between the three these, this is the laryngeal orifice or the laryngeal opening. Okay, so what we are seeing at the floor of the pharynx. So we are at floor of pharynx. Okay, this view is floor of pharynx. Now let us understand in the next picture here. This all is starting in 4 week. Okay, so in the next picture what we'll see, these swellings, the two lingual swellings, they enlarge, they grow in all direction and almost cover the tuberculum impar. So tuberculum impar is not this portion, the smaller portion over here. This is the tuberculum impar. So lingual swellings are growing much faster as compared to the tuberculum impar, and this whole portion from this to this is going to form the anterior 2/3 of the tongue. So anterior 2/3 of tongue. Clear? Now here you are seeing this sky blue color, but in this picture that is not there. So it's because the third arch mesoderm in the floor, it overgrows the second. So almost the second arch get buried inside the third arch. So on the surface you won't see any second arch here. Okay, so this yellow area, it is completely formed by the third arch. Okay, so all these have significance. So third arch is going to form the posterior 1/3 of the tongue. So this is posterior 1/3 is formed by the third arch. Clear? Third arch. Whereas the anterior 2/3 was formed by the first arch. Now the fourth arch is going to form the epiglottis. This one is epiglottis. This is going to formed by the fourth arch. Clear? Then here the fourth arch and the lateral parts. This is actually the posterior part, and the posterior most part of the tongue is called as the root of the tongue. So here So on each side of the epiglottis, that portion is called as vallecula. This you will are going to understand when you are going to do the gross anatomy of tongue. So on the sides, the vallecula. So this part of the tongue up till the epiglottis is supplied by the vagus nerve. I'll explain, because I've told you that each arch has got its own nerve. So first arch nerve is mandibular nerve. Okay, so that is why the anterior 2/3 of the tongue is supplied by a branch of the mandibular nerve, which is called as lingual nerve, which will give general sensation, which will take general sensation from the anterior 2/3 of the tongue, whereas the posterior 1/3 of the tongue is by third arch, and third arch nerve is glossopharyngeal nerve. So glossopharyngeal nerve will take the general sensation, whereas the fourth arch nerve is vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve will take sensation from the posterior most part of the tongue. Okay, so this is how the tongue will develop. So anterior 2/3 by the first arch by 2 lingual swelling and 1 tuberculum impar in the midline. Then the posterior 1/3 in the central portion by hypobranchial eminence, which is found by the second, third and fourth part of the fourth arch in the center. Second arch get buried inside the third. So third is going to form the posterior 1/3 of the tongue, and partly by the here the posterior most part of the tongue is by the fourth arch. Okay, and partly involved in the formation of epiglottis, and the arytenoid cartilages are formed by the sixth arch. So this is how tongue will develop, and let's understand the embryologically how the nerves are correlated with it. So if this is the tongue, fully formed tongue, this part from here to here is the anterior 2/3. Just a minute. So this part is the anterior 2/3 of the tongue. Okay, then this one is the anterior 2/3, the posterior 1/3, and posterior most part. Okay, so as I've mentioned, mucosa of the anterior 2/3 is supplied by the branch of the mandibular division of fifth, which is through the lingual. The posterior part is supplied by the glossopharyngeal nerve, and posterior most part is supplied by the vagus nerve. Okay, now the spatial sensory, the tongue is the organ which is also responsible for carrying taste. So taste sensation from the anterior 2/3 is by the chorda tympani branch of facial. Now you'll be wondering why the chorda tympani branch, from where it has come. So this is actually in the branch which will give fibers through the lingual nerve. So this is actually the pre-traumatic branch of the first the facial is the branch nerve for the second arch. So it's pre-traumatic branch is going to supply the structures from the first arch. Okay, so that is chorda tympani. Then posterior 1/3 of the tongue, the taste by the glossopharyngeal nerve, the same nerve. Now about the musculature of the tongue. So the muscles of the tongue, they are derived from the occipital somites. Okay, so these are occipital somites, so they are supplied by the hypoglossal nerve. And some muscles can differentiate in situ also. That means they from the local mesenchyme can be formed, but the most of the muscle fibers, they are derived from the occipital somites. Remember this, the occipital somites, that is why they are supplied by the hypoglossal nerve, which is 12th cranial nerve. So this is about the development of tongue. There is a condition which is called as ankylosia. Okay, ankyloglossia. Okay, or tongue tie. So in this ankyloglossia, what is happening? The tongue is actually adhered to the floor of the tongue. Normally the anterior part of the tongue and the apex of the tongue is free for the movement. Only the posterior part which is attached called as the root of the tongue. Okay, so here because of the normally there is in the anterior part there is a cell degeneration, so which will make the anterior part free from the floor of mouth. Suppose this cell degeneration which is happening normally is not happening, and in that case the whole tongue is kept applied or fixed to the floor of mouth. So that is called as ankyloglossia. And this in this case the frenulum is extending up to the apex of the tongue or the tip of the tongue. Okay. Now the development of thyroid gland. The primordium, the beginning of thyroid gland formation occurs at around day 24, and this is the first endocrine gland to develop. Okay, and it is the notch and hedgehog signaling pathway which facilitates the formation of thyroid gland. So for this also we'll concentrate first on the floor of the primitive pharynx. So here this is the floor of primitive pharynx. Where we have to concentrate is exactly at the junctional part of the first arch and the second arch, which is shown in this picture here. At this junction, this is the area from where the thyroid will start developing. So this lining on this is the endodermal lining. We know that the epithelium over this inside of the pharyngeal arch is derived from the endoderm. Okay, so this inside lining is this is the endodermal lining. Okay, so the endodermal tissue or the epithelial tissue which is derived from the endoderm will start proliferating in this area. It will proliferate in this area and then start. So there is a thickened area in this region. The thickening of the endoderm then it starts making outpouching deep into the developing tongue. So there is pouch-like formation by the proliferating endoderm, and that pouches start growing within the substance of tongue. Okay, so this is the event which is occurring in the midline. Okay, so in the midline, just at the posterior aspect of tuberculum empire, what is happening? There is an endodermal thickening, and that is growing deeper into towards the deeper part of the tongue. So that is one thing which is going to give rise to main part of the thyroid gland, and simultaneously there is a lateral primordium from the fourth pouch with that ultimopharyngeal body in fourth pouch. So that is going to form the lateral primordium, and the cells from the ultimopharyngeal body get incorporated in the thyroid gland later. Okay, so here first we'll concentrate here the midline endodermal thickening, then this will make pouch like this is called as the thyroid primordium right now. Okay, so because of the cellular proliferation this primordium is solid right now, and then this will start descending down. Okay, and this connection is called as the thyroglossal duct. It will retain this connection when it is going down. It will pass in front of the pharynx, in front of the hyoid bone and the laryngeal cartilages, and this gradually descending down up till the second and third tracheal ring. So anterior to the second and third tracheal ring, that is the final position of thyroid gland. So it will descend up to that area, and this descent is completed almost by week 7. So by week 7, thyroid gland will reach to its final adult position. Okay. So this is how and while descending, this pouch is going to be dividing into 2 lobes also. Okay. So before the final position, the thyroid, that substance has got 2 lobes connected with the isthmus, which will lie in front of the second and third tracheal rings. So lobes are already formed, and they have reached up to the second and third tracheal rings. So this is the picture in which the path of the gland is shown here. See, this is the area which can be called as the foramen cecum, from where the thyroid primordium started dipping down, and that is called as foramen cecum. So it will move like this. In front of the initial part is in front of the pharynx, then in front of the hyoid bone, and then in front of the laryngeal cartilages, and will reach up to this position. So this is the pathway for the descent, and the thyroid glands start functioning at approximately third month, and the follicular cells, those endothelial cells, the endodermal cells, they actually make the follicular cells, and they are responsible for producing colloid in the form of thyroxine and triiodothyronine. And the parafollicular cells, or the CE cells, they will secrete calcitonin, which is responsible for lowering the blood calcium level. So these cells are derived from the ultimopharyngeal body, which will join the thyroid gland from both the side and get incorporated within the substance of thyroid. This is how the parafollicular cells and the follicular cells are formed. Let's see what will happen to the thyroglossal duct. The duct is that connection which will be there between the thyroid gland and the tongue. When it is descending down, the tract which is present between the tongue and the thyroid gland is called a thyroglossal duct, and it should disappear normally. But sometime what happens, the part of the duct may remain persistent, and in that case and because of the epithelial debris get collected and secretion get collected in that, it is called as thyroglossal duct cyst. Okay, so duct क्या convert हो गया, part of the duct got converted into cyst. So वो cyst जो है normally it can remain there without any communication with outside. So simply there is a thyroglossal cyst, like in this case, picture on the right side. So in this case there is a cyst, so it is not communicating above or below. So the proximal and distal part of the ducts have degenerated, but this portion is there having that is called as the thyroglossal duct cyst. But sometimes this cyst can communicate with the exterior, as shown in this picture on the left side. So in that case it is called as thyroglossal duct fistula. Okay, thyroglossal duct cyst and fistula. Cyst is this one, picture on the right side, and the fistula is picture on the left side. Okay, so opening of the thyroglossal duct sinus is shown over here. So these are the possibility with the thyroglossal duct. Then, because these tissue, they are formed somewhere and then gradually they migrate, so there is a possibility of some tissue left in the original position, or some tissue left in the path of migration, as in case of the parathyroid gland. This will be a revision for you. So parathyroid gland, which the fourth parathyroid gland, which is descending with the thymus, you know? So from the third pouch, so it may remain undescended, so you will get the parathyroid gland at higher position. Or similarly, when thymus is descending, you may get accessory thymic tissue somewhere in the upper part only. Okay, and when the thyroid gland is descending, then part of the thyroid gland may be formed in the tongue substance only, or in front of the hyoid bone, or in front of the laryngeal cartilages. So these are the aberrant sites for these tissue. So we may get the aberrant thyroid gland in the form of lingual thyroid, then cervical thyroid. The pyramidal lobe is also the central lobe, which is in the midline. This one is also a part of kind of aberrant thymic tissue. Okay, but usually this is present and incorporated in the description as the pyramidal lobe of thyroid gland. Okay, so these are the aberrant positions for the thyroid tissue to be found. Again, the thyroglossal cyst locations are shown here in this. Thyroglossal cyst is commonly found in the close to the hyoid bone, just above the hyoid bone or just below it or in front of the thyroid cartilage. In 50% cases, it is like this. And this is the pyramidal lobe shown in this picture. Okay, and the persistent thyroglossal duct. It is not degenerated, it is still persisting as the thyroglossal duct. Now about the development of face. Face starts developing by the end of 4th week, and there are 5 facial prominences which are responsible for giving rise to face. So first facial prominence, which is frontonasal prominence. This prominence is actually derived from the neural crest mesenchyme. Apart from that, there is a maxillary prominences, which is the part of first pharyngeal arch, and mandibular prominence, which is again the part of the ventral part of the first pharyngeal arch. So with the help of these prominences, the frontonasal prominence is single midline prominence, and there are 2 maxillary prominences coming from both the side. Maxillary prominence is also coming from both the side, and then it fuses in the midline. So all these facial prominences, they enclose a depressed area which is called as stomodium. So this area, which is depressed area, called as stomodium, and see, there is a curtain-like structure present at the base of the stomodium, which is actually the buccopharyngeal membrane. So these are the all processes around the stomodium: the frontonasal prominence, the maxillary and mandibular prominence, which is now fused, which is actually around the later part of the 4th week. So this buccopharyngeal membrane, which is intact in the mid 4th week, now it has been ruptured. So this is actually around 26 days of the development. So buccopharyngeal membrane is ruptured. So now the stomodium has it has now communicating with the primitive pharyngeal cavity, and by this time there is nasal placode which is appearing. So there is this the ectodermal thickening in the frontonasal prominence, which is called as nasal placode, which appears by this time. Okay, so remember all these prominences: the maxillary, mandibular and frontonasal prominence in the midline. Okay. So in this picture also the same thing is depicted. These are the mesodermal or mesenchymal bulgings which are participating in formation of face. Okay, so day 24, the stomodium is here shown, and the first and the second pharyngeal arch, they are formed. This is the beginning of the 4th week, so the 2 arches are already there, and by the end of the 4th week we have all the first 4 pharyngeal arches formed. So, and the nasal placode is formed by day 28 over here. Now in this picture we can see the nasal placode, which was actually the ectodermal thickening. Now it gradually depresses or buries itself deeper and forms the nasal pit. ठीक है, एक गड्ढा जैसा हो गया. एपिडर्म एक हीप ऑफ सेल्स था, एक्टोडर्मल सेल्स. नाउ उस हीप में एक डीप पिट बन गया. ठीक है, so that is called as nasal pit, and the frontonasal process is growing, and on each side of the pit the medial aspect is called as the median nasal process, medial nasal process, and the part of the frontonasal process which is lateral to the pit is called as lateral nasal process. Okay, so there are two processes now formed from the lower part of the frontonasal process, the medial nasal process and the lateral nasal process. Okay, so these are the two medial, and the sides on the sides are the lateral nasal processor. So this yellow one is maxillary prominence. So there is a uh, depressed or the groove present between the lateral nasal process and the maxillary prominence. This is called as the nasolacrimal groove. Okay, right now the gap or the depressed area between the lateral nasal and the maxillary prominence is called as the nasolacrimal groove. And by this time, this is 31 days of age. So here the primordia of the eye is also getting formed. Primordia, that means the commencement of formation of any organ. So when I said thyroid primordia, that means that is the area, the time by that time the that particular organ is start forming. Okay, so that's the thing. Now by 33 days, the medial and the lateral nasal prominences both are developed properly, and the purple color is over here is the actually the what is shown over here. uh, this side is the primordia of eye. Actually this is going to form the lens, whereas the rest of the eyeball is the extension of the prosencephalon, and the cup shaped prolongation of the prosencephalon, and the lens which is formed by this ectoderm will get incorporated within the eyeball, which is the extension of prosencephalon. Here in this picture again, see this white projection in the midline is the part of the frontonasal process, and the area around the nasal pit, the medial and the lateral nasal process. Gradually this distance is going to decrease. The medial nasal processes, they will come close to each other and fuse in the midline. So with this there is a fused midline, medial nasal processes will be there, and lateral nasal process will be there. So and one can appreciate the maxillary prominence and the mandibular prominence, which is actually going to form the lower lip and jaw. With this picture now you can appreciate that this is going to form the lower jaw and chin, whereas this is going to form the part of the bridge of the nose and all. So and this is going to form the cheek, upper part of the cheek, the maxillary prominence. So the nasal pit is going to it will persist as the anterior nares or the nostrils. Now by 6th week, what will happen? Just appreciate here, this is the maxillary prominence and lateral nasal prominence. So the groove between the two, here this is, I've told you, this is called as the nasolacrimal groove, and this is the developing eye region. Okay, so this groove initially, like this is the maxillary prominence, and if this is the lateral nasal process, fine. So there is a groove between the two, sorry. So it is groove like this, right? And the ectoderm in this area, it gets separated from the surface and make a cord of ectodermal cell, which later get canalized. Okay, so on this side it will be like this, and on this side it will be like this. Gradually it will go deeper away from this. So what will happen? So this will get separated like this, and it will go deeper, and later it get canalized to form the nasolacrimal duct. and on the surface maxillary and the lateral nasal process, they will fuse to form the upper cheek and part of the upper lip. So this is how the nasolacrimal duct formed, and then it will make communication from the medial angle of the eye. Here one can see this is the medial angle of eye. So from here, from this place to this is going to form the nasolacrimal duct is formed, and it will open into the inferior meatus of nose. So connecting the medial end, and the medial most part which is towards the eye will expand to form the nasolacrimal sac. Okay, lacrimal sac, not nasolacrimal, it is lacrimal sac. So the upper expanded end is called as lacrimal sac. So by this time, actually the human form of the face is formed. Almost all structures are developed. So this is how the nasolacrimal duct is formed. Now, what are the structures which will be formed by frontonasal prominence? So this by 7th to 10th week, there are further some growth is taking place, and with this the forehead is formed, the formation of the forehead, the bridge of the nose, okay, and the medial and the lateral nasal prominences are there. So bridge of the nose is formed, and if you come downwards, the tip of the nose and the crest of the nose is also formed by the frontonasal process. So all the derivatives of medial and the lateral nasal prominences, actually they are derivative of frontonasal process. Fine. So side of the nose, the nostril, and the nasal septum, all these are derivative of frontonasal sinus. Even the cribriform plate. Okay, so I will give you list of the structures which are formed by the frontonasal sinus, but right now just bridge of the nose, tip of the nose, the philtrum, the part of the middle part of the upper lip which is called as philtrum, the crest of the nose, septum of the nose, side wall of the nose, and nasal, the nostrils. Almost the whole nasal region is formed by the ultimately formed by the frontonasal prominence. If you just say frontonasal prominence, so it is going to form the forehead and bridge of the nose, and through medial and the lateral nasal prominences it will form all nasal region. Now formation of intermaxillary segment. So again here understand, this is the cross section taken through the oral cavity. What we can appreciate is the side shape, the maxillary prominences are approaching towards the midline, and in the midline we have the medial nasal prominence coming from above. Okay, सो दोनों साइड की मीडियल नेजल प्रोमिनेंस है, वो खुद भी पहले आपस में फ्यूज होंगे, तो सिंगल ये बन गया विच इज कॉल्ड एज द मर्ज्ड मीडियल नेजल प्रोमिनेंस. फाइन. और साइड से ये अगेन द ग्रोइंग मैक्सिलरी प्रोमिनेंस इज पुशिंग एंड मीटिंग विद द merged medial nasal process. So this process is continuing over here. So now finally when the maxillary prominence is going to fuse with the merged medial nasal prominence, then it is going to form the philtrum of the upper lip. Okay, so this is maxillary prominence, so naturally it is going to form the upper lip, then part of the maxilla bone, and here it is going to form the primary palate. So this triangular projection more deeper is going to form the primary palate. So intermaxillary segment will form three structures: primary palate, the philtrum of upper lip, and upper jaw component. So these three structures will be formed by the intermaxillary segment. So let us just summarized form of all the structures which are formed by the various processes. The maxillary process is going to form the upper part of cheek. Okay, upper part of cheek, maxilla, zygomatic bone, lateral parts of the upper lip, hard and soft portions of the secondary palate. This I will explain with the development of palate. Now the frontonasal process will give rise to forehead, bridge of the nose, forehead, bridge of the nose, medial and the lateral prominences, and through these prominences actually the nasal area, the nostril, nose, the septum, everything is formed by the medial and lateral nasal prominences. The mandibular prominence is going to form chin, lower lip, lower part of the cheek, upper part by the maxilla, lower part by the mandibular prominence. Now in detail, the nasal prominence will form the lateral side, will form the sides or the ala of the nose, medial will form the tip of nose, nasal septum, ethmoid bone, cribriform plate, philtrum of upper lip. Okay, so this is the fate of all those prominences or the processes which are involved in formation of face. Let us see the development of nasal cavity. Again, we have come to the same picture, the nasal prominence. I have told you by 6 weeks the nasal placode will appear. So this is ectodermal thickening. Okay, so this picture appreciate here. You know that there is a external ectoderm. Okay, let me draw one picture for that to make you understand. If this is the developing neural tube, ओके ये एक्टोडर्म इसके ऊपर ऐसे होता है, यहाँ पे नोटोकॉर्ड होता है, हम नॉर्मली बनाते हैं, नोटोकॉर्ड यहाँ पे होता है, ठीक है, और एंडोडर्म इधर पर है, और यहाँ पे बीच में सारा डेवलपिंग मीजोडर्म है ना। तो जब अभी न्यूरल ट्यूब ये जो फ्रंटोनेजल प्रोसेस है उसकी डेप्थ में वी हैव पार्ट ऑफ द न्यूरल ट्यूब, सो ये सारा मीजेनकाइम है, ठीक है। सो दी थिकनिंग कहाँ पर आई, यहाँ पर कहीं पर, ठीक है। नेजल प्लैकोड कहाँ पे बन रहा है, कहीं एक्टोडर्म में, यहाँ पर थिकनिंग है। तो एक्चुअली क्या होता है, थिकनिंग ऑफ द एक्टोडर्म हियर, सो इट इज कैन बी सीन ओवर हियर, द ये फोर ब्रेन डेवलप हो रहा है, जो ब्लू बनाया है, दिस इज डेवलपिंग फोर ब्रेन, है ना। और उसके नीचे ये फोर ब्रेन हो गया अगर, तो उसके नीचे का ये मीजोडर्म है, सो दिस पिंक थिंग इज द मीजेनकाइम made and this is the ectoderm. So black वाला जो है ये यहाँ पे thicken ectoderm है, okay, so it is like this. So the developing forebrain, let me use pencil, forebrain हो गया, उसके बाद ये mesenchymal tissue हो गया, और ये nasal placode हो गया। Similarly यहाँ पे देखो ये part of the brain हो गया ये वाला, और ये mesenchymal tissue हो गया, और ये ectoderm जो है यहाँ पे in the region of developing nose is nasal placode. Fine. So see here, initially there is just thickening and then it will start getting depressed, है ना, अंदर invaginate होने लग गई, and then this is going to form this groove, deeper groove, and get then like a sac it is getting buried into the mesenchyme, है ना, ये पूरा ऐसे डिप होते जा रहा है, mesenchyme में घुसता जा रहा है like a sac, okay. So जो sac की opening surface पे हो गई वो हो गया nostrils, so ऐसा दोनों तरफ हो रहा है ना, एक साइड ऐसा हो रहा है, दूसरी साइड वैसा हो रहा है। So ये दोनों जो nasal placodes हैं, the same phenomena is happening on both the side. So with this the two nostrils are formed by the deeper extension of nasal pits. So now here in this picture, this is the nasal pit which has extended deeper into the mesenchyme, you know? और यहाँ midline में there is a part of medial nasal prominence is there, which is the part of frontonasal process. So median nasal prominence is here, and this connection between the nasal process, the medial nasal process with the deeper part, this is called as oronasal membrane, because इसके नीचे ये है oral cavity, यहाँ पे tongue is developing and this is the nasal pit, है ना। So this oronasal membrane is here, which is going closer to the developing brain here, है ना। Now this oronasal membrane gradually it will break, disappear, leaving this as a separate area. So यहाँ पे जो ये medial nasal process का part था, now this is going to form the primary palate. We saw that intermaxillary segment, है ना. So that is the primary palate, that is portion of the medial nasal prominence. Okay. So after getting this broken here, this primary palate is formed by the medial nasal prominence. Okay, and this is going to be forming the olfactory epithelium, and this is the part of brain which will be forming the olfactory bulb, and through the cribriform plate over here the olfactory nerves will enter into the cranial cavity, है ना. So यहाँ पे आ जाओ नेक्स्ट इसमें देखो. नाउ दिस इज द प्राइमरी पैलेट. फिर उसके बाद सेकेंडरी पैलेट फॉर्म हो रहा है. दिस इज बाय द शेल्स ऑफ द मैक्सिला आएंगे अंदर. So we'll discuss this later. So right now this formation of the whole palate, the primary and the secondary palate, will divide the cavity, separate the cavity into nasal and the oral cavity. So this is how the nose is formed. Right now this is the posterior or the definitive choana will be formed here, separating it like this, and these are the nostrils. Okay, so this is how the nose is formed. Okay, formation of paranasal sinuses. Now once the nose is formed, from its lateral wall there are diverticula or the extensions like a balloon, and the lateral wall is ballooned out to form the air sinuses because they are around the nose, so they are called as paranasal sinuses. So these are air filled cavities, extension of the nasal cavities around the nose. Okay, so original opening or the neck of the diverticula is going to be forming the opening of the sinuses, and maxillary sinuses actually start developing prenatally, and at birth it is around 3 to 4 millimeter in diameter. Okay, so the rest will appear later. Coming to the development of palate, so by now what we have learned is the palate has two components, primary and the secondary palate. So we saw that primary palate is part, or the developmentally it arises from the intermaxillary segment, which is actually the part of the or the lowermost portion of the medial nasal prominence. Okay, see here we are familiar with this picture. So this is happening in early 6th week. So from both the side maxillary prominence are going to moving medially, and this is the process which is coming from the lowermost part of the anterior and lowermost part of the frontonasal process. Okay, so ये बना रहा है medial nasal process. ठीक है, so जब ये medial nasal process जब ये maxillary prominence से fuse करेगा, here it is going to fuse over here, and this is going to form the part of what, the philtrum बना रहा है upper lip का, part of the maxilla bone and part of the palate, है ना. तो ये बन गया philtrum, पहली चीज बन गई यहाँ पे. This is the philtrum of nose, the philtrum of nose, and this the alveolar arch of the maxilla, so part of the maxilla which is going to bear 4 incisors, upper incisors. So ये दूसरी चीज हो गई. Then third is the primary palate. Okay, so ये primary palate बन गया intermaxillary segment से. So now right now we are concerned with the palate, so we'll concentrate on this part of the palate. This is going to form the primary palate. ये primary palate हो गया. पीछे जो है ये fused palatal shells of maxilla. So maxilla से there are the shelf-like projection will extend in the mid towards the midline, forming the palatal shells. These are palatal shells. The two palatal shells, they will meet in the midline to form the secondary palate. The anterior 2/3 part of the secondary palate is going to ossify and form the hard palate, whereas posterior 1/3 remain unossified, making soft palate. Okay, so by 7th week actually both the palatal shells they will be fused. Here this is the section which is like a coronal section taken. Okay, in coronal section, if this is the coronal section, this is the nasal septum, which is the part of the frontonasal process over ओके, और ये साइड से जो है ये दीज आर दी मैक्सिलरी प्रोमिनेंस, तो उससे ये मिड लाइन की तरफ ये शेल्फ एक्सटेंड कर रहा है. नाउ what is happening, the tongue is growing and the position of the tongue is higher. So right now these palatal shells are placed obliquely downwards. Okay, they cannot fuse because the tongue is intervening here. So for their fusion, the tongue should get depressed, tongue should go down, then only they will approach each other to fuse. So this is happening here. In the next picture we can show the tongue has taken, by development of neck and all, the tongue has gone more towards the downwards, and these palatal shells, they are now the horizontal, and gradually they will fuse with each other here to separate the nasal cavity from the oral cavity. Okay, so in this picture also one can appreciate these are the palatal shells. Okay, and at the same time the nasal septum, this nasal septum is also going to fuse with the palate. These palatal shells in the midline, they fuse with the nasal septum. So there are separation of two nasal cavities also, and separation of nasal cavity with the oral cavity is also happening. So one can appreciate the developing septum in this picture. Okay, so this is how the hard palate and the soft palate are formed. Okay, what will happen if one of these processes they fail to fuse with the other process to form the which is required to form normal nose or lip or the palate. Okay, so when the maxillary process, developing maxillary process, it fails to fuse with the median nasal process or the lateral nasal process, then it is going to produce cleft lip and palate. Cleft lip and palate can be divided as the anterior cleft lip or the posterior. If the that deficiency or the unfused area lies anterior to the incisive foramen, then in that case it is called as anterior. So if it is in the premaxilla and the in lip, then it is called as anterior. If it is in the secondary palate, posterior to the incisive foramen, then it is called as posterior type of cleft palate. Okay, so these are the common defects which will be seen on the face, and that can cause abnormal appearance of the face and defective speech. This is one picture. This is taken. This is the fetus from our fetal repository. See, the bilateral cleft lip is visible in this picture. So this is the fetus from our own fetal repository showing the bilateral cleft lip. Here there's a classification. The first picture is normal picture. The premaxillary or the intermaxillary segment is shown, and with the brown color, this is the secondary palate. Here there's a unilateral cleft lip. Okay, only cleft lip is there, bone is normal, only the lip is cleft over here and reaching up to the nose. In the this third picture, which is C, the cleft lip is there, cleft palate bhi hai isme. ठीक है, so this is unilateral cleft involving the lip and jaw both. ठीक है, and this is extending up to the incisive foramen, so this is anterior type. Okay, then bilateral cleft involving the lip and jaw, so same thing, this is unilateral and here this is bilateral. Then in this case, the E picture, here this is the isolated cleft palate, only the cleft palate is there, the lip and this alveolar process is normal, the palate is no, it is unfused. Okay, here in this case the this is the together here we have the anterior cleft lip एंड क्लेफ्ट पैलेट, है ना, दोनों ही है इसमें, एंटीरियर और पोस्टीरियर दोनों ही है। ये एंटीरियर हो गया, यहाँ से यहाँ तक इंसिसिव फोरामेन तक, ठीक है। सो दिस इज एंटीरियर क्लेफ्ट लिप एंड क्लेफ्ट पैलेट. So these are various types. Here also, the appreciate there is a non-fusion of mandibular prominence with the medial nasal process. Okay, so this is like midline cleft lip. एक oblique cleft lip भी होता है जब maxillary prominence is not fused with the lateral nasal process. In that case, the cleft lip is oblique, so that is called as oblique cleft lip. So this is all about the development of face, palate. We talked about the development of thyroid also, tongue also. So, and we did the applied aspect also. So that's all. Hope you have understood something, and please read. Thank you so much.